Hit the like button as you are entering.
Evening. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve. Thank you for your donation, Steve. I'll be looking for your question. Hey, Joey from Beaumont.
Greetings from Canada. How's it going, eh? Victor, New York. Vanilla Girl, I still remember Creekside Gun Shop from when I was a kid.
When I see Victor, New York, I only think about Eastview Mall. It's a girl response.
Actually, we used to call it Crookside because of the prices, the way they used to jack up prices on ammunition because they had a range there.
Oh, he's in Arkansas at a military school. He's from Katy.
Norway.
We'll give it another minute, and then we'll start getting into questions.
Our next door neighbors are he's Norwegian. He's Norway flags all over his house, his garage, in his backyard.
He has flags in his backyard?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I mean, they're good neighbors. They're quiet. They're quiet like we are. And they don't mind that we have chickens, which in our HOA, you're not allowed to have. I know St. Patrick was Italian, probably drinking Guinness regardless.
Hey, Brent.
They have a cool Guinness display at the grocery store right now for St. Patrick's Day. Guinness is probably one of the only beers that I actually really do like. Good to see another shout out from Mac. Yes, he's been very, very good to us.
Yes.
Hope your migraines are better. They're not so much, but I did finally get a medication, so I'm hoping that I'll get some relief from them pretty soon. They just come on out of nowhere. And I did just get fresh Botox too, which helps. But that takes a good 2 weeks to settle. The best Guinness I ever had was in Germany while over there jumping with them. Okay, we're going to get started. Kirk wants to say hi on Donor Box. Thank you so much, Kirk. He didn't have a question. He's looking forward to our video this weekend. I will be working on that. I should have already had one out this week, but I was trying to finish off sending off all the bundle orders from everything, which have all gone out. So if you guys are still waiting on your bundle, they have all gone out as of 2 days ago, I believe, and armor's manuals. So now I'll be in full editing and video mode to get ready for the next round. If you would like to donate tonight, you can do that with the super chat button and attach your question, or if you just want to donate, you'll get priority over all the questions coming in, but you don't have to donate to get your question asked and answered. It just will help you get priority and a guaranteed response, because there can be quite a few people in here at once. Donor Box is our preferred method. You can find that link on smallarmsolutions.com. It works the same. You just put your question in the comments section. I'll get an email and you'll jump the line of questions that are coming in for the night. I'll also plop the link down here. Donor Box only takes about 3%. Google takes 30%. So either way, thank you for joining us. Adnan on Donor Box. Thank you, Adnan. He wants to know, regarding gas port size diameters of an AR-15, AR-10, how can that affect the cycle of operation of that particular weapon? Is the topic of having proper port size of the gas being bled into the cycle of operation often a misunderstood topic with certain commercial manufacturers, similar in the case of proper drilling and pinning a gas block to the barrel versus using set screws?
Well, first off, gas port size is that tells you how much gas is being bled out from the system to operate your action. If you have too little gas for the ammunition from which you are using, you will have short stroking. If you have too much gas, you will have excessive wear on components. You can have failures to extract. Once you have, if you have too high of a gas port, eventually when you get some rounds through the rifle, you have gas port erosion, which even allows more in. So basically, get your gas port size does determine how much, how fast the action works. There are other factors that go involved with that too. For instance, ammunition. For instance, you have a proper gas port for military ammunition, like a standard M4 a Colt or such, that's designed to cycle with military grade 5.56 ammo. Now you introduce Wolf into the mix. Well, Wolf will give you a much lower port pressure, which can cause problems with the weapon cycling. Or if you have it overgassed, so what a lot of manufacturers will do is so it will work with the cheap ammunition. They overgas or drill a larger gas port, so it will work with the Wolf type ammunition. But when you're using your standard ammunition, it is overgassed. There's no bearing on the operation, whether it's a drilled or whether it's a clamped on gas block. The only thing with the drilled pin does is it prevents the gas port or the gas the it prevents the gas block from moving forward, which would cut off gas, causing short stroking, or cut it off altogether. That's a reliability enhancement.
For external piston firearms such as an AK-47 or an AR-18 type of system, can they still have an improper port size diameter that can throw the system off or eventually have fire cutting around the gas port?
Exactly. It's irrelevant to the operating system. The by having a adjustable gas valve instead of having your gas being measured from the port itself, it's measured from the valve. So it's less critical for as far as what your gas port size is with a gun that has a gas port and a gas valve together. But if it has just a gas port, then your issues come up, for as far as that's concerned.
Going to buy a Mark 18 upper, do you recommend it over the regular AR?
Mm, No, it just basically it's a shorter barrel. Um, uh, no, it's as long as you have all your paperwork together, or you have it as a pistol, it's certainly a legality issue. Now, if a Mark 18 barrel, for as far as the 10.8 or 10.3 is concerned, your reliability is not going to be as good. For instance, to say a 14.5 inch or a 16 or a 20, it's just the nature of the beast.
Okay, let me scroll up here. There's a couple questions about this, so I guess we can talk about this. They're asking about Michiko and that we lent him the PSA AK-74, and he apparently had some different results than what you had. And what do you think about that? There's a couple questions about that.
I find it extremely interesting. I had two different PSA AK-47, AK-74s. One was the model with the side folding stock, and one was the fixed stock. I put most of the rounds through the one with the fixed stock, never having any mechanical issues whatsoever with it. I put about 120 rounds through the one that I loaned to William, to Michiko. I didn't have any problems. So for as far as what happened with it, when he got it, I don't know. Um, I don't have an explanation. I didn't have any issues with it. Um, it could be something within the gun that as it got shot, the problems abrupted. But I can't really explain that. You saw the videos of the gun shooting. Um, when I was talking to William about it, he was saying that sometimes you don't see things until you get up around 500 plus rounds, and that could be the case too. The one malfunction he had for as far as the cartridge case going back into the receiver, I can see how that's happened. That's happened with other guns before. It's just a fluke. Um, I only had problems with the firing pin using a certain kind of ammunition, and which the gun wasn't designed for, and that was the Hornady with the brass case that had some compatibility issues with the AK-74 firing pin. But yeah, It's interesting. I don't know, what happened. That all I know is, when I had it, I had no issues. Maybe just was happened to me those number of rounds that went through it.
Do you need caffeine? You seem like you're a little.
Hmm?
Are
My
you
throat's
awake?
dry.
I'll text. I'll text our barista.
Mm.
It helps when you have a barista that lives in a house and from Starbucks. You can have her make you tea and lattes around the clock. What do you think about the Swiss SG552 and SG553?
I wish I had one. Those are those are extremely expensive. I was able to get one of the 550s from William from Michiko to review, but those are just very very rare.
Sorry, I'm trying to order your hot tea. Buffer recommendation for a 10.5 AR and 5.56.
That only requires an H. As long as you're not using if you're using a standard weight barrel, like a standard Mark 18 type barrel, an H is perfect for it. It's ideal for it. Unless again you have issues with the gas port size. With the military, if you're talking about military barrels, it's easy to tell you what it needs, because I know exactly what the gas ports are and I know how they're gassed. The issue really comes down to your individual barrel and how the gas port was drilled. If they open it up quite a bit, you may need to go with an H2. But under normal circumstances with a properly made barrel, an H is all that's necessary.
Heather, I can see a cheek and an eyeball. Sometimes it's easier for me to read if I get closer. Getting older. I have a Bushmaster XM15 E2S that I have owned since new, pretty much stock. Started overgassing a while back while shooting. What could cause this sudden issue?
Well, what can actually happen is gas port erosion. Well, gas port erosion is this fire cutting of the gas port, which elongates it, opens it up, and allows more gas that's in there. You can basically stick a heavier buffer in there to help slow it down a little bit, but generally within the 6,000 rounds, your cyclic rate can go up well over 100 rounds to 150 rounds a minute. For instance, a U.S. mil spec test. When the rifle starts off, 750, 950 rounds per minute is the shelf for rubber shelf for cyclic rate. Once you go through the 6,000 round test, it goes up to 1,050. So 750 to 1,050 rounds per minute. So that just within 6,000 rounds, if you reach that, the closer you reach that, the more you're gonna get for as far as a higher rate of fire due to the gas port erosion. Now, if it's happening before that, that could mean you're using ammunition that's hotter. So, for instance, you would notice the difference between firing Wolf ammunition versus a regular 5.56 NATO. You would feel the rifle cycling faster, like it's supposed to. So, there's a couple different things. But if you're using proper ammunition, gas port erosion, or ammunition to ammunition, can feel different as well.
Why don't you take a sip of? I have hot tea on order for you. Brent just sent us a very, very nice donation on DonorBox, and says, "I appreciate you guys and what you provide the 2A community. This is for your efforts to purchase your copyright or start Black Rifle 3."
Thank you so much.
Yes, we're
Who's that?
Brent.
Brent, thank you very much.
We are in the process of trying to purchase the rights to Black Rifle 2. We probably won't have that finalized for a few more months. I'm hoping by the summertime it will happen. We're still trying to square all the details out, but it's definitely something that we're pursuing wholeheartedly. And we are also going to be writing Black Rifle 3. And I say we, which I don't normally say because I'll be doing the photography for it. So if you were on last week, you saw our fundraiser. We are doing a big raffle for the Ultimate AR collection. It has the AR-10 book in it. Was the Ultimate? Was it called the Ultimate Battle Rifle? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. And then Black Rifle 1, which I had to buy that on Amazon myself because Chris only has one copy and it has Eugene Stoner's signature in it. So
that don't go nowhere.
He's not going to give that up. So I actually found a copy on Amazon because I've had so many people wanting that. And then our last and final copy of Black Rifle 2 that will be signed, as well as an armor's manual that will also be signed. So it's 500 and up books. I know some of you guys have said, I already own this book and, don't want to buy tickets for it or for the raffle. But you have to also consider if you only need one of these books, then you could keep it and it's a deal. But then you can also go on Amazon and sell the other ones, or eBay, and basically, make a nice little payday for yourself. So tickets are $20 each, or 3 for 50. And you can email me for ticket purchases. We will be announcing that live on our Q&A next Wednesday, which is also St. Patrick's Day. I'm waiting for you, Chris, to go.
Of course, we don't use Italian.
So
I had somebody arguing with me on the on one of our not Instagram, but Facebook. Well, one of them tried to tell me that he was British. It's like, no, he's not British. He's not Irish. He's not British. He's Italian.
Okay, so it's over $500 worth of collectible books, and a couple of them are signed. And all of that goes towards helping me buy all the photography kit that I need to purchase to take all of much higher graphic resolution, great stock photos for this book, so that it's, definitely in 2021 and not 2003, which was Black Rifle 2. But
I'm still trying to decide how I want to go about this. Obviously having the rights to Black Rifle 2, there's an ability to take that and make it a fully expanded edition. There's other potential of making a separate book to make it an add-on. There's still a few different ways to go about doing it.
I'm always interested too to hear what other people believe too, because I know for me, and even my son too, who's starting to really become interested in what his father has done, and he would like to see another book, like a new book, and I would also like to see the same. But he is kind of starting to think that maybe expanding upon chapters and expanding Black Rifle 2.
I like what my editor did with the Kalashnikov story, where he took the original book that Azal did on the Kalashnikov, and then he did a full expansion on it, because it's like, for instance, the M4 chapter. I take the M4 to 2004, so now we're talking about the M4 is still ongoing. So taking that chapter and expanding it to 2021, 2022, 2023. The same thing with the AR-10, potentially doing it. Like I said, there's several different ways to go about doing it. So just trying to figure out which the best is.
Don, who's asking about tickets, they're $20 each, or it's 3 for 50. And I know somebody was asking about if I was going to be limiting how many tickets. I'm not, just because I don't see it making I don't see anybody buying a mass quantity of these tickets. And to be honest with you, in true transparency, over the past week, there's about 12 names entered, and that's it. Most everyone has purchased, 3 tickets each. So you can kind of do the math there, but there's like 12 names in the raffle. So you have a really good chance of winning this. And like I said, even if you already own that book, you can sell it on eBay or Amazon and make yourself a little bit of cash out of it in the end of it. But it's definitely, if you don't have those books, it's definitely the ultimate little collection there to add to your bookshelf. And we're going to be drawing the name live on St. Patrick's Day, so that'll be kind of fun too. And you don't need to be present to win. But yeah, if you're interested, you can email me. I did pop it into the description box. We also have a video about it. That's the exciting news video. Tad on DonorBox. Thank you, Tad. He says he has a question about Gen 2 Glocks. Namely, my local Sportsman warehouse has a used Gen 2 Glock 21 for under $500 that looks like it could have parts replaced. Can Gen 4 Glock parts work on the Gen 2? Or how would you go about making a Gen 2 Glock run in a 2021 and beyond? Or skip the Gen 2 altogether and wait for a new Gen 4 and 5 to be on shelves?
Well, quite frankly, your internal components on the Model 21 haven't really changed up until the Gen 4. And on top of that, the Gen 4, the only really changed the internal components was the recoil spring and the barrel. So, as long as you're not using Gen 5 parts, everything is still relevant. So, there's no concern about buying the Gen 2 at all for as far as getting any kind of parts replaced. If you want to wait for a new gun, certainly. I have a Gen 4 21. I've had a Gen 2. I had a Gen 3, and I have the Gen 4 now. I wouldn't hold my breath for a Gen 5. But there's nothing wrong with the Gen 2. Any part that you need is still available.
Kirk says the crime series would make a great book. That would definitely be a collection of I don't know. You could do that a few different ways. It's definitely interesting. Steve wants to know, is it possible for you to get any assistance from Reed Knight when you do Black Rifle 3?
Um, I don't know. Uh, as I said, I've tried getting help from him in the past. He's got a guy who works for him named Ash Hess, who has helped me out from trying to get guns. Occasionally, Trey has helped me. I don't know, but quite frankly, for as far as there's nothing he really has that I would need for a gen for the book three. I've already got photographs and everything of the M110. That's the only thing of Reed Knights that would go in. I see the third book because he hasn't really done anything military other than the M110. So I've already got everything I would need on that. So quite frankly, I needed him for the second book, and I couldn't get him.
Yeah, I know he was concerned about Colt and any assistance that he may need for Black Rifle 3, but I think the buyout from CZ could only help that, fostering to be able to get whatever he needed.
There's a lot of things with Colt that's necessary. I'd like to do something on the individual carbine program. There's pictures that I've used in the past that are from Vickers. I don't know how much Vickers would allow me to use his photographs in my book because there are some things that he's had access to that I don't. That's something else I've talked to those guys about is, will you guys let me use any of your photographs? And of course, that's complicated. And if I can't get into Colt, that would definitely put a dampering on some of the things that would be, important.
And, I think it's okay and fair to say this. And you guys will get like kind of a inside that no one else has really heard, but, we get a lot of comments about head stamp publications and Vickers for publishing Black Rifle 3. Those are already conversations that are happening. Nothing is set in stone, but I think it's fair to say that both would be interested in it. And yeah, it's definitely conversations that have happened and will continue to happen. Our main goal, though, is for us.
Can I hold the room really quick?
Sure.
Can you entertain them for a moment?
Sure. Our main goal right now is to secure the rights of Black Rifle 2 for the Bartocci family and the Bartocci name. It was never something I agreed on 20 years ago when he decided to give up those rights. But as a young guy, he felt that our family was safer with them having the rights and protecting us from any possible litigation. Looking back now, he believes that, obviously that was, a mistake. And all we can do is go forward with it. I know I've had people who are interested in helping us by securing a percentage of that. I don't want to give away too much, but we are definitely have had offers from other places to give us the money to buy the rights. Once those are in our hands, they're never going anywhere, and not for a check or anything. That is Chris's legacy, and it's extremely important to me that is protected, and it goes forward, and that book exists and lives on well past his life and mine. But I know Head Stamp and Vickers has been, that is take a shot every time you hear those or read those names. We'd be passed out from alcohol poisoning. Definitely that's on the table, and definitely that's part of the conversation, and definitely that's options, and that's a possibility. But right now, our main goal is to secure those rights.
Trying to find quality publishers is very important too, because of what the book is. There's a lot of publishers out there who do, not so great quality books. Collector grade was that was the standard. That was there never came better than that. That was the golden standard. So you've yet to see who's going to fill those shoes.
Okay, Joey wants to know, can a DI gas system coexist with a folding stock? I'm a little confused about the connection between the gas system up front and the buffer system out back. It seems like all rifles with folding stocks have piston gas systems.
What it has to do with it is how the recoil system is set up. On an AR-15 type system, it utilizes a buffer and a buffer spring. The carrier is the entire length of the upper receiver. What you're referring to, like say the AR-18, the recoil spring is inside of the receiver. It's not in the stock. And it doesn't necessarily have much to do with the operating system. Part of what made the AR-15 M16 series such a good system was its recoil system. It's all inline recoil system. If you look at the AR-18, your recoil system is above the carrier, not directly behind it. That affects the inline construction of it, which is one of the hallmarks to it. But you certainly can do different systems. So other companies have done it. Um, they basically use a slightly longer, or just a tad bit longer receiver extension than the back of the receiver. But that's really what it comes down to, is the location of the recoil system.
Kevin on DonorBox, thank you, Kevin. He says, what are the recommendations for the different height over bore options for the AR platform? A good cheek weld for different head shapes and gas masks and night vision. It seems like all the cool kids want to elevate the sights much higher than 2.6, whether they're wearing a gas mask or not. The quote cool kids instructors don't understand that women need sight heights that are lower than 2.6.
Well, quite frankly, I only use mil-spec sights. I don't have anything that's modified. Yeah, pretty much your standard sights are going to be the ones that you're going to be able to co-witness through through the optics. For instance, if you say you didn't have a folding front sight, you had a standard GI, front sight base. So, mostly when you deal with height, you're dealing with optics, not iron sights. People do, I tend to like to have a scope that's high enough where I can do co-witness for as far as not with an optic, not with a regular scope, but with any kind of a red dot or such, where I can use emergency backup sights. There's a lot of tactical people out there. I'm a creature of habit. I go with what works. I go with what I use in the military. I go with the equipment that I used at Colt. We did there. So a lot of this really high speed stuff.
Daughter's a barista, and she delivers your tea for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, barista Sophie.
So I tend to stick with what the mil spec type things is. It was the same thing with how do we BZO? Do we do 25 yards? Do we do 50? Do we do 100? What do we do? Well, I've trained troops over 30 countries, and we do the 25-yard BZO. Same thing the U.S. military does. Are there other ways to do it? Yeah. Well, this is how we do it.
Charles on DonorBox. Thank you, Charles. What is your opinion on PWS long stroke piston rifle being adopted for military service? Do you think it could handle diverse combat conditions?
It's funny. I have one sitting right next to me. You're going to be having a video coming up. I did one on it in the past on the Mark II. The Mark 116 Mod 2, but we're also going to be doing it on the 7.62x39 upper as well. I don't believe it's ever been submitted to any kind of trials. I can't look at it and say yes and no. There's testing that has to go on with it. It certainly is a good, robust design. I certainly would like to see it go through the testing. As I said, I can look at something and say, hey, this really looks nice. It feels well, but how's it going to go through a destruction test? How are the parts going to hold up? It's got a lot going for it. The long stroke, piston is certainly a good system. They have some good, some good gas regulation. The valves in there for as far as SAGs is concerned. You tune it up with proper mil-spec ammunition, and you do that. I think it would have a really good shot at being a good military-grade weapon, but it needs to go through the actual testing to see how it holds up for durability, reliability, how the parts hold up, and environmental testing before you can really say anything. But it is of the highest quality. There's no question. But anything that I would say would be a total guess without knowing how it's going to hold up. Something under range conditions is very different than going through military conditions.
I recently talked to Paul Leitner, and he is producing complete rifles later this year. Would you consider reviewing one? It would be interesting.
Well, I've seen Paul's work in the past, and it was less than stellar. So I'll always look at anything that's new. I have no problems with that. Knowing the story, you're going to be seeing the story of the 499 Leitner Weiss Rifle Company rifle. You will see if you've seen Black Rifle 2. It's in my book, and it was a complete disaster, and a lot of it had to do with Paul's not listening to Carl Lewis to make the thing work. There's just a lot of adversity that goes around with Paul. It's always been that way. I mean, when you get basically kicked out of your own company, it tells you there's problems. But I can remember the days of the 499 when I was at I was in Illinois. I was at Carl Lewis's place, and where they had the Coast Guard come down to do the demonstration. That was actually the first time I met Carl Lewis, and they were doing a demonstration for the Coast Guard of the 499. And I can remember um, they couldn't get off one full magazine without some kind of a malfunction. And Paul kept telling the Coast Guard, "Oh, it's still prototype, it's still prototype." And Carl's like, I told him how to fix it, and he won't listen. And that was a time when Carl was just starting to get into making complete guns. That time around 2003, I think it was when Carl was just starting to gear up to make his own guns, and having that association, with him producing guns for Paul that didn't work when he was producing Paul what Paul wanted, and Paul wouldn't listen. I was concerned that was going to hurt Carl, but Paul really screwed that up. The Air Force had orders for that gun, but Paul couldn't get it to work. So hopefully he's changed and he does do things the right way with a new product line. But I'm always open to try anything new.
Somebody's asking if you're going to be testing the what would Stoner do. It's funny you should ask that because yesterday we just started getting some guns in from a guy named Noah at Big Iron Armory, and he's the one who sent over the Glock Gen 5, and he's emailed me yesterday to tell me that he had a lower for the What Would Stoner Do rifle, and if we would be interested in using it. I told him to send it over. I think that would be great. So you may be seeing that.
Yeah, for as far as the full rifle's concerned, I'd have to contact Roy over at Brownells to see if he'll send me one. I would never tell you it's a bad rifle. That's not what I'm saying. I still believe what I know about Stoner, if that's what he would have done, because Stoner was not a fan of 5.56.
Well, they were just asking if you were planning on reviewing.
Yeah,
so.
But I will. As I said, I'll contact Roy, see if he can get me one. If I can get my hands on one, I'll be happy to do it.
Well, Noah's going to send us a lower. So.
And it's a whole system. It's a whole upper receiver.
What features would you want to see in a new Colt pistol?
Basically, I would like to see all the features that are in the XM17 proposal. So it would be basically a gun that would meet that. It's not a 1911. That's what I would want to see. That's what any CEO or anybody going into Colt would want to see. They would say, we need a new pistol that we can sell for modern and military and law enforcement. They need to throw the specifications for the XM17 at the engineers and say, build us a gun that goes around this. And that's exactly what needs to be. A gun that meets all the specifications and criteria of the XM17 program.
I'm trying to wade through whether St. Patrick was Italian. Just give me a second. Yeah, they're still talking about it. Okay. What multi-tools would you recommend for the AR-15, Gerber, etc.?
Well, the Gerber Effect tool is my all-time favorite. I've got some other ones, but the one that my go-to is the Gerber Effect tool.
Yeah, I always link that in the description box because ever since the channel was started, he always uses that Gerber tool, and people will always be like, "What's that thing in your hand? What's it?" So I always put it in there by default because he usually uses it pretty predominantly. I think we have a blog on smallarmsolutions.com that talks about tools for the AR. You probably could go over there and check that out and see the stuff that he recommends, like what you would have in your basic tool kit for an AR-15.
Yeah, it's not an armorer's tool. It's something you would carry with you in the field, disassembly and adjustment and some different things like that. It's not an armorer's tool, but it's for disassembly and some kind of things like that. It's really, really good.
This guy has a question about AR-15 enhanced BCGs. Why is it that while we have good improvements in the market, Knights Armament, LMT, Gentech, etc., there isn't any product which combines all of the ideas together, and can it be done?
Well, that's because of patents. You have certain patents. For instance, the best bolt carrier is patented to LWRC, I believe, for as far as the one piece with the stainless steel carrier key. Then you have Carl Lewis with the cam path, with the way the gas enters the system, and with the way that the front is for supporting the bolt carrier. You have the bolt, which is LMT, which is patented. So all the different features you have patents on. So being able to get all those patents together into one, that's the problem.
I did do this one right.
Yes.
What do you think Stoner would have chosen for the M16 M4 platforms of today? 6.5, 6.8, or something entirely different?
If I had to guess, I probably would say he would be 6.8 because he did not like the small caliber. He was a 308 fan. That's what he wanted to do. And when he went to work for Reed Knight, what did he do? He brought his AR-10 back. That was his main interest. He liked the larger calibers. Um, but being a smart engineer, he did what people wanted. He was requested by the Air Force to do something that was part of the small caliber high velocity program. He did it. And then, of course, once he left Armalite after the AR-15 was bought by Colt and gone into production, he knew that was where the requirements were going to be in the 5.56. So that's when he went to work for Cadillac Gauge and the Stoner 63 system. They were in 5.56, and his subsequent designs, because that's what was required. Um, but what he would do himself, he always went back to his roots, which was the 7.62.
Which buffer weight should I run in my LMT 10.5 and Surefire suppressor? I just put a can on my MLC.
I have the same thing, and I have an H2 on that one. You will notice generally a difference between when you take the can on and off for as far as your gas pressures. That's why I would probably recommend the H2. That's what I have in my. I have the exact same setup.
Any thoughts on the Bulgarian Dragunov rifle to be imported this year?
I can't wait to get my hands on one. I expect my buddy William Mishiko there is probably going to get one, and I'll probably beg him to see if he'll let me borrow one. Bulgaria is stellar quality. They do probably some of the nicest quality AK type rifles that's out there. Um, I will be very anxious to get my hands on one of those.
I'm looking at getting a Colt 20-inch upper from Brownells. I only have lowers with carbine buffer tubes. Do I need to run an H2 or H3 for the rifle upper, or isn't H good enough?
Oh no, I would recommend you go with. Actually, I would tell you to replace your receiver extension with the Valtor A5 and go with that. The Valtor A5 which is what that's designed for. For the most part, I would go with an H3 because if you look at the carbine weight buffer weight versus the weight of the standard rifle you have 5 steel weights. So in order to put that into a 3-weight system, you see you're looking at 2 tungsten and a steel. So H2 or an H3. So I would be with at least an H2, probably an H3.
Does the KSC PDW use an internal or external piston system?
I do not recall. The PDW that he had never went anywhere. It never left prototype stages. I never had my hands on one of them. If I had to guess, I would guess it's external piston, but I cannot say for sure because I've never had my hands on one to actually go through one and look at it. It never went anywhere. So it was only a prototype stage.
Is there any reason why enhanced bolts aren't more prevalent? Is there any reliability advantage that LMT and KC bolts have over the mil-spec design?
Oh, absolutely. The materials that the LMT uses is a much better material. For as far as while they're not more prevalent or more available, is the material. LMT has to build them when they get the material. That when they get the bar stock in, they don't always get it. It's hard for them to get, and when they get it, they make it. It's also more expensive because it's hard. It's a harder material. It's harder on the tools when they produce it. But there is a significant benefit to having it. There's absolutely no question. But it's expensive. I remember a conversation that Carl had. I don't know who it was with. He goes, "I could make you a bolt that would never break, and I will guarantee you will never break. But the amount of it would cost more than the damn rifle for as far as the materials and the tools to cut it."
Will the Daniel Defense Mark 12 barrel accept an AEM5 collar setup?
I do believe so, but I can't tell you for sure because I don't have one to look at. As long as it's using standard outer diameters, which generally they have to because of the size of the the mil spec Uh, gas block. It should. I would contact them ahead of time to make sure, but I don't see why not. But again, I don't have day on the fence guns here to be able to check that with. But I believe they all use a standard mil spec gas block, so they would have to.
Why government profile barrel gets so much hate? What do you think about them? And could LW barrel replace them?
Well, I tell you exactly why they got the hate because when the M4 was developed as a personal defense type weapon that was designed for rear echelon or our support teams who needed more firepower than a pistol but couldn't carry a full power rifle. It was designed for lightweight. When the M4 was thrust into the role as a primary infantry rifle, it wasn't designed for. The barrel was too light. It wasn't designed for sustained fire. It wasn't designed for heavy combat use. So everybody, say, hey, the gun's garbage. It's overheating. It's all this, and that. That's because it was designed as a rear echelon type rifle. It wasn't designed as a regular combat rifle. It wasn't until the PIP program and the adoption of the what we know as today is the M4A1, which utilized the SOCOM barrel. The SOCOM barrel turns that into a assault rifle. It turns it into a battle rifle that's designed for a infantryman or special operations guy. The barrel does not overheat. That's what the rifle should have been once it was adopted as a main infantry rifle. It was originally designed to do something that it was originally used to do something it was not designed for. The lightweight barrel was not designed as a battle rifle. It was designed as like the M1 carbine as a light support rifle. Um, so that's really where it comes from. The M4 that we have today, the M4A1 PIP rifle, that is a infantry version or special operations version rifle. It takes the heat, it takes the sustained fire, it does an incredible job at it. It's designed as a battle rifle.
Do you think the Tavor and bullpup design will be the gun of the future?
No, the bullpups have not really done well. I think a lot of people are like myself. I don't like having an explosion under my cheek. It does cause a problem with people who fire from the hip in emergencies, getting struck with brass. You know, there are countries who like them, but it's very, very limited. They may look space age, but it's a personal thing. It's a personal preference thing, and a lot of militaries have not even looked at them. For any number of reasons. For me, no, I own a Tavor. That's the only bullpup I own, only bullpup I ever will own because it's something I want to have in my collection. So I can talk about bullpups in videos, but it's not a thing for me. It's not anything that I ever really cared for.
Alan was asking about the Centurion Arms discount codes. Can they be used more than once? He said he used the code once recently for a C4 rail and was planning on purchasing another rail. Yes, they can.
Yes.
So those are always available to you for everything on the site. And we have 3 different codes. One's for complete barrels, one's for uppers and lowers, and then one's for everything else that's on the site. And it's 3% off for complete rifles, 5% off for uppers and lowers, and 10% off everything else. But you'll have 3 different codes for that. So I'm going to plug that into the chat in case anybody's unaware of those. They're usually in the description box too. But yeah, they definitely will save you a little coin if you can get anything. It's always a trick these days, if you can get anything. Do you know if I can order an HK MR556A1 with a 14.5 barrel, or will it be an aftermarket part?
That will be an aftermarket part. The MR556 only comes in one flavor, and that's a 16-inch barrel, and it is not a standard military barrel. You would need to buy a HK416 barrel. Now, there are people who somehow have been able to get their hands on some automatic only 416s with different profiles. Don't know how they do it, if they go through law enforcement distributors or what. But I will tell you, you are going to pay through the nose unless Brownells comes up with shorter barrels. That they make. If you were to try to find a 14.5-inch HK barrel, you're probably talking about $3,000 at minimum just for the barrel assembly. It is a totally impractical thing. Unfortunately, you may be able to take a Brownells barrel and cut it down to 14 inches. As long as you have somebody who knows what they're doing for as far as modifications of the gas port, which is going to be your best bet if you want to do that. But to find a 14-inch HK barrel would be a miracle. And then, of course, if you're willing to pay, that kind of money for it, and your wallet's that big, all the more power to you.
What is the most reliable rifle on the market right now, and what are some design features that are conducive to reliability and durability?
Well, there's a lot of rifles out there that are comparable for as far as reliability. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. One is going to be the rifle's design and its ammunition and its used. Um, my go-to rifles are LMT MWSs. I have those set up so the gas systems are in tune with the ammunition that I use. I use Mark 262, so I have the buffer and everything set up to work properly with that ammunition, suppressed and unsuppressed. Um, there's a lot of really good rifles. You just have to make sure that you are using the proper ammunition consistently, especially if you're going to go from suppressed to unsuppressed. You have to decide if you want internal piston or external piston. You know, uh, there's a lot of really, really good rifles out there. They all have their benefits. They all have their setbacks. There's guys who will tell you, "Oh, I have to have an AK." Again, all the more power to you. Um, there's a lot of subjectivity to it. I can tell you what I look for. I look for the 14 and a half inch barrel. I look for a 16-inch barrel, one of the two, because of the ballistics that go along with it. I don't like going with the extremely short barrels because you lose too much. Um, I look for the proper bolt carriers, proper bolts to enhance systems. I look for a good pin down gas block, a chrome plated barrel. Um, I like to have the ability to switch calibers if I need and switch configurations if I need. That's why I go with the LMT because I have one system that I can go. All right, if I'm going to be in a place where I can get longer shots, I can go with a 16-inch or a 14-inch barrel. If I am going to be in something that's really close, if I needed to go to a 10.3-inch barrel, I can do it. If I want to go with a longer, different caliber, I can do it. I like having that. If I was only have one rifle, those are all the different features that I would look at. Colt. If you stay with 5.56 ammunition from which it was designed, it will go to hell and back with you. With a standard M4 system, of course, you have HK, excellent combat proven systems. Scars combat proven systems. Certainly something to look at is has the gun been used by a military, and they've already put the money into the durability testing and reliability testing, so you don't have to. You just go off of their results. But it's hard just to say to you, "Hey, this is the one." I tell you what I choose for myself, but there's other guns I would have no problem carrying as well.
And because they're talking a little bit about ear protection in here, even though this probably isn't relevant to what they're saying. Chris just tried out some new earphones,
Excellent.
and you're going to be seeing them a lot at the range now. Um, Totally not sponsored, as I'm sure you. I just want to say that, even though we don't
Yeah,
take sponsorships, not sponsored, but he loves them because
they're cool.
I mean, I don't know if this is a plus feature for some of you guys, but like he loves that they're Bluetooth to your phone, so
So she's
that
trying to call me. I can.
I
I
mean,
don't.
I wouldn't think that that would be a good feature a lot of times because then you lose your excuse of, well, I didn't hear you because I was at the range.
They're really nice.
But I have the link for you guys. You're going to see him in the description box now as one of his new must-haves. Yeah, I mean, we do receive an affiliate commission if you do purchase them, just like any Brownells links or anything like that. But yeah, he loves them. He thinks they're the best thing.
And also, it's something that I see, you know, at least a couple times a week in my videos. Oh, he's badass. He doesn't even wear hearing protection. I wear hearing protection every time.
Yeah.
There's never a time that I don't. I have my 1991 GI issue earplugs that are in my ears. They go in quite a ways. I'm always wearing hearing protection. Yes, I am legally deaf in both ears, just from a lifetime of this is what I did for a living. But I am always wearing hearing protection. These new ones, I just tried and they work great. Electronic ones. In fact, I gave my son my Peltors. I think that's what they were. But I just really like these ones.
If you're hearing whining, I have a very needy Yorkie over here that's
The Assault Terrier.
ready for the Q&A to be over. Carrie finally came in. You know what, Carrie?
Hello.
It's so great that you can join us during these last few minutes. Didn't even come last week, and then he just rolls in.
You probably finish off the wine list at the defect.
Let's see. Does the Scar 20S have the same optics killing issue that the Scar 16S has?
Yeah, that's the system. There's no change in the receiver as far as the harmonics is concerned, it's the same thing.
Carrie apologizes for his absence. Like you should, Carrie. How dare you have a life outside of us? What's your opinion of the HK-417?
I have one. I have an MR762A1. Nice rifle. It's an accurate rifle. You know, really what it comes down to is price. They are so brutally priced. There's just it just makes it so there are several other options out there that are just as accurate, if not more, for far less money. That's really what it comes down to. Um, I do like it. I've got a video on it. Um, especially if you get the trigger from Geisley to improve the trigger on it. It's a very nice rifle. One of the nice things about the 417 is a lot of you guys will look at it and say, well, it's bigger than an AR-10. Well, the reality is the 417, that's the size of the original AR-10, which of the AR-10, the SR-25, that rifle was scaled down to utilize M16 components. For instance, they had to scale the carrier down so it would fit into a standard AR-15 M16A2 receiver extension. So what of the AR-10 is the scaled down version. The 417, that is the actual size of the components of the original Stoner designed AR-10. Same thing with the magazine. The magazine that Stoner went with when he did the SR-15, he went with his original magazine, which he even admitted later was a mistake because he wanted to use a better magazine. Where H&K, they saw that there was downfalls to the original magazine, so they created their own that was a stronger magazine. It is external piston, which generally is a negative. The internal piston generally is a more accurate system because you don't have that heavy piston interfere with the harmonics of the barrel. But excellent rifle. It's the damn cost that just makes you run away. I have mine purely for an investment. I got it. What I have here is what I have now is brand new. I have more as an investment. It'll be used in future videos. But it's not a go-to rifle for me because of that cost. There's nothing it will do that my LMT MWS won't do. My MWS I have, or my 308 is a sub MOA gun. So there's nothing that it can do that this one can't.
Joey on Donnerbox wants to know, do you think the advent of red dots on pistols means longer barrels and slides will go the way of the dinosaur? It seems like without the need of the increased sight radius because of the dot, the main reason for a longer barrel slide on a pistol disappears. What are your thoughts?
It could, but if you see what the red dots are being used on, they're used on generally smaller guns anyways. More, I've got one. You're gonna be seeing a video coming up on a Hellcat. I got one on it. I'm actually using them quite a bit now. They're great for standard combat guns. The guy who's going to go out and buy a long slide wants it for a very specific reason. He wants, power factor and stuff. He wants higher velocities. It's not going to change that. I think a lot of times with the longer barrels, it's for accuracy. It's for the longer barrel, longer powder burn, higher velocities. I don't think it's going to be changing too much. That the guy who's going to want to go out and buy a longer slide, he's going to want to do it for velocity, not so much as for accuracy.
I don't even know what he's talking about, but this guy wants to know, does Heather know how much you spent on it? LOL. You're not talking about some expensive gun or whatever?
Oh, they was just talking about, that's the one that we talked about the other night, actually.
Which one?
The HK. That's the one that I did the consulting work for.
I don't remember. They've all blurred together. Yeah, no, that's his business. It's not my business. That's how you stay together for a long time. He doesn't ask me how much did you spend on that handbag. It's none of his business. Watched your series on cold AR-15s. Didn't see mine. AR-15A2 Sporter 2, SER-SP 5502, XX, slab side lower, low shelf, upper has an elevated adjustable rear.
1989, that gun was made. I know that because my serial number is 3531. And that was 89. So that's the year that one was made.
Centurion Arms, have you heard anything about how backup they are still waiting on my Mark 12 SPR so I can order?
They are, as fast as they can produce, this stuff's going out the door.
Yeah.
So I can't answer anything for as far as what their current status is. I just know that stuff shows up in the morning and it's gone by the afternoon.
Yeah.
You really have to keep on checking the website every day,
Yeah.
generally in the afternoon.
Carrie, I don't even buy shoes. I'm not a shoe whore. I'm a handbag whore. Yeah, I know from what little I know of talking to Monty's wife over at Centurion. Um, yeah, they've been really. I mean, like every company, they're just really backed up with everything. It's been a lot.
Aisha.
Yep, he's in here tonight.
Yeah, me and William had a long conversation about that AK. As I said, the rounds I put through it were fine, and then when he
That's
got
a
it,
missed
that's when it acted
opportunity.
up.
I could have filmed that conversation and probably made money off of it and charged like an admittance fee. Y'all could have come in and come and watch and listen to them have that conversation. That's a missed opportunity on y'all's part. Is a Smith & Wesson Sport 2A worth wild AR over something like a Daniel Defense or SIG Tread AR based on price and overall reliability? I see more officers using an S&W over other brands.
That's because Smith & Wesson basically gives them away. I would definitely recommend. Well, Daniel Defense is a whole different. You're looking at two ends of the spectrum. So the SIG Tread probably would be the way to go because it's right in between the two. Smith & Wesson, generally what it does is they get a police department to buy their pistols, and then they give them rifles. The price is just it's a low price. That's why you're seeing it. It's low bidder. They are not the quality of a SIG Tread, and they're certainly not the quality of a Daniel Defense. But I think as far as money for money, either Aero Precision or going with that SIG Tread would be an ideal way to go for a really good quality rifle for not a lot of money.
I would never get rid of Carrie in here. Somebody said he better be careful or I'm going to smash him out of here. No. Carrie came to our first AR armors classes along with Daniel. And, we all went to dinner and everything. So obviously, we all became, close, and I consider them friends at this point. And in fact, out of, I get a lot of friend requests on Facebook, as Chris does as well.
Yeah.
And Carrie and Daniel are the only people I've ever, had come look at my personal stuff.
Normally, I don't associate with Air Force personnel, but I carry I do give the benefit too.
And Carrie has my personal number. He harasses me 7 days a week. I look forward to it. Let's see. Oh, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to read. There's always a certain hour. There's like a certain moment at the end of the Q&A where everything descends into something. Sean says, if my old lady knew how much I've spent on guns, I'd be using a flashlight for the rest of my life. For sure. Like, it always descends into like... No, they just, you got to hit them back where it hurts. When I say I'm going to go shop for a new handbag, that's when Chris is like, shit. How extensively are LWRCs tested? I haven't found any information on round counts or any official testing. I'm considering purchasing an IC enhanced.
They are extensively tested. The IC went through all the testing that was required of the individual carbine program. LWRC was smart. They knew right off the bat that the IC program was not going anywhere. And they pulled out at the last minute because to them it wasn't worth the entire cost to invest to be in that program when they knew the program wasn't going anywhere. So they didn't go with it. LWRC has got military contracts. They do the real world testing. I could not endorse them higher. You will never have a problem with those. Those are good military grade weapons. Now, that's their external piston. Those are the ones that have been bought in overseas. I don't believe their internal piston. That's more for the commercial market. But I couldn't recommend LWRC higher. I've got a couple of them. And I tell you, especially if you want a 6.8, They make the 6.8. I don't think anybody makes a better 6.8 SBC out there than they do. And I have one of their individual carbines, and I absolutely love it. I've been out to their factory. I've worked for LWRC as a consultant, written manuals for them. I've been out to their facility a couple times. And I've been around with them from the beginning when they first introduced their external piston. I followed them all the way through. They make excellent, and they make all their stuff in house too. They have their own barrel hammer forged machine. One of the few companies in this country that has their own hammer forged machine. They even all their plastic parts. They even mold that in house. Um, their facility is excellent. They make extensive use of fixtures for assembly, which means they can pull some monkey off the street and they can make those guns in their factory and make them perfect the same way every time because of the way the fixturing is on them. Yeah, good purchase.
So, guys, if you are interested in purchasing any tickets for our amazing AR bundle right set of books, you can contact me at the email address that I've just popped into the chat line. It's hbartachi@smallarmsolutions.com. Tickets are $20 each or 3 for $50. And like I said before, I only have about 12 names that are entered. So you have a really good chance of winning it. And if you already own some of those books or all of them, then you can sell them and have a little payday. And all of your tickets go to helping support Black Rifle 3. So we'll see you live next week on Wednesday for sure for St. Patrick's Day. And we're going to be drawing live too. So that'll be fun. But thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night. Thank you.